to pray. There's no angels where I go, only pieces that are broken, scattered dreams across the floor. I'm home.
Alrighty, hello everybody, this is Kirishak here. Now, whenever we last left off, Deku had just had a odd experience. Not only did he just go on a date simultaneously with 10 girls, but he also met a version of himself from another reality. And another version of one of these girls from from another reality too. That wouldn't be quite odd. Or, well, not as odd, if it didn't happen within the same day. Now, with that being said, Deku, he is currently in his room, thinking. All the girls had a fun time, and, well, he's had a good one too. In fact, he is going over all these events. That's quite a lot to pack into one simple thing. It's a good thing he has multitask, otherwise that would have been a lot harder to do. Now, with that being said, he's trying to think of a good way to do this. He's gonna meet another version of himself, so how are they gonna meet? Is he gonna send me a letter or something, send me a piece of mail? Or from what this version of me described, are they gonna hack my phone and, well, do something like that? Deku trying to think more and more. Until there's an odd thing. The doorbell rings at the bar, or there's at least a knock on the door. And everyone's a bit confused. Until someone would walk over and open it. And they basically see the scene. A guy in a red suit and a girl with purple hair. Or pink hair. Who is talking. Them a bit confused as to what's going on, before the guy would just state that he's here to talk with Izuku Midoriya. Kirigiri jumping in action, as he would tell Gigantomachia to deal with their guest. Now, as soon as that happens, Deku would come running out, and see the scene. Gigantomachia basically smashing Deku Deadpool into the ground, and this version of Mina just staying back. At least dodging and maneuvering out of the way, until she would have been able to get behind Kirigiri. As soon as she goes to jumping to attack him, though, Deku would have grabbed her out of the air, and have grabbed Gigantomachia, telling him to stop. Them all a bit concerned as to what is happening. Deku Pool is regenerating most of his stomach right now, and most of his torso. Everyone watching that happen, as he would just go on to state that he's just here to talk to the kid. As to the Kirigiri is a bit confused, along with Tomura. He was actually here. The commotion caused him and his version of his league to come running. Since, well, he usually lets his brother do his own thing. Now, Deku Pool is basically explaining everything. Alternate universes, this bullshit existing, along with saying, yeah, this is another instance of that. Say hello to Mina Ashida. The younger version of Mina would come running to see herself, asking questions, actually trying to get answers out of her, along with asking her if she can travel through different realities, then exactly what is her quirk. Her being the one who's less freaked out about this, while Tomura is still trying to figure this out. If he's from a different reality, then exactly what does that mean? Are you some sort of hero? Oh, no. Quite the opposite, in fact. I know you in my timeline, Tomura. Or at least I did. What was that? Nothing. Anyways, what happened in my timeline was a bit different. Although I'm a bit impressed, a battle axe. In my timeline, I just used a sword. What do you mean? Deku turning around and beginning to think. The guy regenerated in almost seconds. So, would this be a useful quirk to take? Yeah, I wouldn't do that, kid. Do what? Take my quirk. In fact, dying isn't fun. And you go through it the first couple times, it's maddening. Watch, try and get into my head. Deku confused. This version of him is able to die, travel through dimensions, and come back. Okay, he just officially reached peak insanity. Deku at least budging. Going to look into Deadpool's head. As soon as that happens, though, Deku would have basically been a bit surprised. Basically jumping backwards and falling onto the ground. A bit surprised about that. Everyone trying to see if he's okay. Him basically saying that he is going to be fine. Although, what was that? Psychic feedback. That is what happens whenever you can't get into someone's head. I'm guessing you've never experienced it before. No. Oh, well, first time for everything. Anyways, first off, you're welcome. I saved your timeline from something stupid that was going to happen. What? During your date with Mina, you would have been pulled aside by a hero. The hero would have found out who you were and immediately go to call it in. You would have caused a scene, and pros would have arrived. You would have been a bit more, well, cautious. And you would have lost your girl. I know what that's like. Deku confused. Deadpool going on to state that, in fact, he knows it all too well. He's been through it a time before. But that's all in the past. So I did you a favor. I killed the hero, and I altered your timeline. Deku just looking over at Mina, asking her why doesn't your version of Deku ever edit timelines? Her going on to say that he kinda has a rule against it. The first couple times he did, he said he did something bad. Or, well, created something dark. I'm not too sure, but apparently time messes back. So we only do minor infractions of time. Then again, in other universes, I can change that. Her just bringing up her hands and snapping her fingers. Changing the scenery around the room. Surprising everybody. Her saying that in her timeline, quite a lot of us have this power. In fact, Deku divided it up. Divided it up. Only a fraction of it I ever use. I only ever use it when I need to, though. Them a bit surprised. Her ending the conversation by saying that, anyways, I just wanted to check in and see what was going on with this timeline. Although I don't think Momo's going to be quite happy hearing about this. Her basically saying that somewhat loud. Momo confused and asking what does she mean. Her just saying that don't worry about it. Also, I do need to go get you a wedding present. Her just walking away. Kind of confused. Deku turning to this Deku, or our Deku, already getting confused, and saying that, listen, I need to go too. I'm needed elsewhere. So, one thing before I leave. Yes, my quirks are powerful. Don't try taking them. But another thing. I've already altered your timeline once. I'm not doing it again. Everybody gets one. Then again, that's different if you have chimichangas. What the hell's a chimichanga? You disgust me. Deku is leaving. Before saying one word, or a couple words. You're a villain, remember that. So if you're going to at least try and hold on to something, you have to fight like it's the last thing you'll ever do. Deku pulled in just walking through a portal, and it closing behind him. Although everyone does see something a bit odd. Toga, and she's, well, holding a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old? That is a bit odd. And the portal closing. Deku is still confused before all of them would just walk in, saying that he heard about a lot of commotion, and he's wondering something himself. Looking around the room, no one is paying attention. And in fact, they're all still trying to piece this together. Apparently, he was supposed to get caught. There's a version of himself that's apparently married to Token, has a kid. And from the whole wedding present joke, he thinks he gets it now. Or he thinks he does? Momo's married to someone in her timeline? Although she did kind of point back to her and me, so me? Okay, it's weird. Now, with that being said, all of them would break up the weird tension by saying that they have a mission to do. Tomura's group is attacking the, well, forest, while your group, on the other hand, as he would just motion Deku, saying that they are going after, well, they're going to be causing a distraction. You are going to be going after the pro heroes. In fact, I do believe that this would be a good time to mention one thing. Him turning to Todoroki, and Dabi, saying that they will not be fighting Endeavor. He knows about family problems. So, they'll be going to the forest. Along with that, I will leave the pros to me and my son. All of you are in charge of different tasks. And if you believe yourselves to be perfect for the idea or the job, then you may so come with us. Although, do understand, we are going to demoralize the heroes, and actually try and put them back in their places. Back where they belong, serving the people instead of being praised among them. Now, all of them would just tell Kirigiri to open a portal, and to send some Nomu ahead. The high-end Nomu is still in its experimental phase, although do send off the mid-class, the one we have discussed. Him turning to Midoriya, saying that he knows this Nomu, and in fact it was quite odd. Apparently its powers are getting more and more versatile throughout the day. Deku asking what he means. Before, all of them would just say that the boy's name was Mineta, correct? The girls in class 1A a bit surprised, and actually a bit shocked, before they would start laughing, realizing that Deku got Mineta turned into a Nomu. That is funny. But then again, it's also quite a bit sad. So, Deku would begin by walking through the portal with All for One, and the Mineta Nomu would walk through. Deku actually seeing it. It's not all that tall, but its arms are at least a bit pink or purple. You can clearly tell that it's augmented. So, exactly what are its quirks? Well, it's quite odd, but it should be useful. Just know that it can use its body like slime. And it can also eat through anything it wants to, by simply making contact with it. The ability is quite dangerous, and in fact, I believe he could also extend his lifespan doing so. I'm not too certain. These biological humans, or Nomu, they are still quite new. Usually they had the bombers or the, the engineered, at the Melville factory. All for one, somewhat explaining it more. Deku and him watching the carnage about, and seeing more things happening. As you would have a bit of a problem. Apparently since the USJ and UA having to shut down, they have decided to do things a bit differently. The students who are in charge of, or class, the students at UA who are third years are now beginning to do more and more pro hero work, since they do already carry a somewhat of a license. They were given it after UA shut down, to at least send them off with more heroes. They have the most experience, and they don't want to deploy the new generation too soon. Then again, young Togeda is already proving to be a top-ranking pro, or at least a potential candidate. Now, Midori, you do understand that as soon as we begin the attack, then this is going to be getting a lot more difficult. We will not be able to turn back. The pros that come to take us today will be the ones that we kill and take down. Along with that, I do believe Endeavor will be here. So, we need to get things ready. Now, I'm at least trying to think. I've been using my intelligence quirks and trying to figure it out. I believe that we will find out who the successor is tonight. Deku confused. All for one just stating that it's not just that. Apparently, we also need to find a very powerful villain. He could be more powerful than even us combined. And, well, that mission will be next. You do understand it, right? He is locked away somewhere. Very, very, very far. And will need to be taken. Now, Deku is at least a bit confused, but at least knowing what's happening. They are going to be doing a fight, and if they don't make it here, then things are going to be getting more and more difficult. Now, instead of leaving the fight off on a cliffhanger, I've decided to save it for the next part, and go over a bit of events happening at UA, since I have not explained anything about it since then. Directly after the USJ, Principal Nezu is trying to think this through, or at least figure some things out. They have lost quite a lot of pros, along with the death of All Might. He was quite a good man. In fact, too good. Along with Midnight and some more of the pros being killed. The only survivors were Present Mike, Aizawa, and, well, I want to say one or two others, but I can't really think of their names. But the reason why Aizawa survived was because Ayama thought his initial blast killed him. And they didn't really pay attention to him. Him basically being tossed around and blown about through the battlefield due to the shockwaves. He was eventually found passed out, or at least just injured. While Present Mike, whenever he got doused with this the fear toxin, he was able to scream his way out of it. His body was vibrating so much that whenever he was screaming, his lungs basically forced the toxin out, along with the mushrooms inside. Although that would have been quite the odd experience, since he was still hallucinating. It was basically at least toned down quite a lot. Afterwards, he would have gotten away. Along with Principal Nezu at least still trying to think about this. They need to at least make sure everyone's okay. You have Bakugo, Kaminari, I believe Ojiro, Tokoyami, and that was about it. Along with that, they have the fact that All Might has been beheaded, and he needs to be taken care of. Quite a lot of the students are dead, and they're not sure what happened. This was supposed to be just a normal day. Then again, all this shit started happening. Now, this is whenever Aizawa, he would somewhat begin to talk through his broken body, stating that they had traitors in their midst. The villains, they got to some of their students, and the ones they didn't get to, they butchered. They killed. There's something too. A villain here took the Nomu's quirk. He took the thing's quirk and began to fight All Might. From what I could tell, he was basically toying with him. Afterwards, he just butchered him. He put him back together after pulling him apart. Well, that does fit the description of one quirk we have then. What? Well, Aizawa. Apparently, in Class 1B, there was a student. There was nothing odd about him. At first glance. Shigaraki. Him and quite a few other students were in an incident with a villain back then. Or back in the day. His school got attacked and he was one of the few survivors, since it happened in the middle of the night. However, some students got trapped or, well, locked inside the school by force. It is still unclear to this day as to what happened, although some of them were out sick, others out of the country. It is, well, quite odd, still. What type of villain would just do that? You set a school ablaze with a bunch of children inside. They seem to almost have identified one, but it still didn't make sense. The DNA said it was human, but it was not. It was clearly modified or altered. So, we believe that he was linked to this incident at this school. Along with the fact that if he is exactly who we think he is, then he is going to be quite the dangerous opponent. Aizawa, confused. Recovery Girl coming in to see the situation. She's here to help. And, well, as a doctor and a medical professional, you don't really want to see what she's seeing right now. Realizing exactly how bad the situation is. Bakugo, who's clearly pissed off and traumatized, would run over and begin to yell exactly what the fuck is happening. And why is this? Well, what is all this? The teacher's basically stating that leave this to the pros, young man. Bakugo just saying the pros are fucking dead. So clearly this is going to be his problem. Now, with that being said, they would have eventually found the other survivors. At least being a bit bad about it. Or sad about the fact that not a lot of them survived. Bakugo is still pissed off though, wanting to actually murder this villain. Along with being a bit betrayed. Kirishima, the guy he thought was his friend, betrayed him. Although it's not just that. The guy's quirk, what was it? Invisible chick? As soon as she touched his hand, she was seeable? Well, that sucks. Anyways, I'm pretty sure the league at least does have hostages. No, I don't think they do. Now, eventually, later on to the day, Principal Nezzy would have called in some help. Calling Sir Night-Eye, explaining to him the situation and exactly how they should carry it out. Eventually, Night would have arrived, and him and Aizawa are going back and forth. They need to make a public statement about exactly what is happening, but they need to keep All Might's death a bit under wraps for right now. Since if it is news that All Might was, well, responsible for some of the things that happened here, then it would be very bad. Him tearing apart quite a lot of the villains, and actually being seen by one of the students killing one of the other students. Clearly under the effects of a quirk, however, although people possibly would not believe that. So they'll at least need to explain that after a heavy battle, All Might was injured. Principal Nezu somewhat telling them that's going to be a lot harder, as they are watching Izuku Midoriya's message to the world, seeing exactly what's happening. Deku holding his hand out and extending it to the woman, saying that he can make that quirk disappear. All she needs to do is give him time. Them watching him take her quirk away, along with killing that pro on live television. The world at least denouncing Yue for a minute, and holding this boy responsible. At first. Until they would have heard more and more things about him. He's cured people and taken away things they don't want about their quirks. In fact, his father, as people are beginning to talk and hear whispers of a second coming, if you will call it. Of All For One. The boy will be leading a new generation. And in fact, now that they're thinking about it, this boy, he has met All Might before, under a different circumstance. Now, with that being said, Tsunade would just say that it is time then. He believes that young Togoda will have to step out early. Then again, he will have to hide his other quirk. If he reveals that he is All Might's successor and he has one for all, then clearly it will be bad news. People will be fighting for that ability to get a quirk. Any they desire. That is what he said. So, I do believe, as Tsunade would look into the future, thinking that this should all be fine. Now, with that being said, I do believe that that's a good point to leave it off, guys. I do hope you enjoyed the video, and have an amazing day. I will catch you guys in the next part.